All right. So what's up? We got A&P Reacts.
Hey.
Yeah. So I see you guys are doing interviews and stuff. And my question I've gotten asked, being an interview guy as well, is like, who have you been like dying to talk to?
Ooh, good question. We've been dying to talk to that we haven't had a chance to speak with yet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, I think we've been pretty lucky to have gotten a chance to meet a lot of people in the business, a lot of bands. I think there's definitely two people I would say. One is Taria, because I mean I've got a chance to talk to Floor, I've got a chance to talk to Annette, and to complete the trilogy of Nightwish. Talking to her it's definitely on my bucket list. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So for sure her. And I would love to have a chat with Alexia Laiho from formerly Children of Bodom. I mean, I think that
Yeah. I actually just shot an email to them like the other day, but I haven't got anything. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean now he has the band Bodom After Midnight, right? So I'm sure when they're working on an album, I know they're working on it. So maybe when the album comes out, there'll be a chance to do some press for the release of that record, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I'll get a chance to chat with him. So yeah, he's definitely on my bucket list.
Heck yeah. So we got two. How about like death metal bands? Like,
ooh, from death metal bands. Is there anybody you would like to meet? For you, it's more Meat because he doesn't do the interview. Yeah, so for him, it's more meeting.
For the talking stuff, it's more you because you're doing
right. I noticed that.
But
so who'd you like to meet?
I don't know. I feel like I've kind of met everyone that
that's on your bucket list?
That was on my bucket list.
What about Anders from Draconian?
He's definitely on my bucket list.
All right. There we go.
That we can achieve. Like, he's a good friend of mine, so we could make that happen. From death metal band to interview, I definitely would like to interview Corpse Grinder. I mean, I've been a huge fan from Cannibal Corpse most of my life. So yeah, I'm really hoping like the next Cannibal Corpse album, I'll get a chance to chat with him. Definitely really high on that bucket. As far as death metal is concerned, I think he's the number one.
Yeah, that is like my goal too. Like, Corpse, I'm from Buffalo, so like that's like my hometown hero. So
yeah, he's definitely. I mean, like for me, growing up listening to Cannibal Corpse, like it has a huge impact, like on your taste for music. Right. So he seems like such a great guy to talk to. Like I know, yeah. Like he would definitely be on that upper list of very selected few names. That I can think of right now, like out of the top of my head, definitely would be him.
Okay, George, he's the winner. So what are some things that you've learned like from your guests? Like I've learned some really funny stuff, and then I've learned stuff that nobody would ever expect. And like
no shitting on the bus.
Definitely no shitting on the bus.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've learned. I don't know. It's a tough question because okay, so for you, like he goes to a lot of the interviews that I do live. From your experience of being there, what have you taken away from it? Is there something you've taken away?
I mean, I've taken away that life on the road is not all glamorous.
Yep.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yep.
Before that, I used to think it was like big glamorous
Motley Crue.
yeah, like Motley Crue kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, and then like going live, it's like, oh, it's not that.
It's not like that at all.
No, it's rough.
For me, that is one of the things. There's a lot of misconceptions that people have as far as artists, metal artists are concerned in the life on the road. I agree with him 100%.
Yeah.
I think interviewing a lot of the bands at the venues and now getting to know a lot of the guys and knowing the behind the scenes, you start to realize that glamour in that glamour is true. It was true to Motley Crue and it was true to that era, but it's definitely not happening now. At least not with most bands. I mean, obviously, if you're talking about the like the Guns N' Roses of the world, then it's a different story, right? But if you're talking about Shadow of Intent, you know what I mean? Like they're modest. You know what I mean? Like they're not flying first class.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that I've learned from that side too. And the other thing that I've learned, or at least that I've realized, is sometimes the bigger the band, the more down to earth the
totally.
band is.
Yeah.
The less cocky they are, the more down to earth they are.
That's very true.
Yeah, and sometimes the smaller the band, and this doesn't apply to everybody, right? Like there's but I find that sometimes the smaller the band, the more difficult they are. Like, you know what I mean? Like the perhaps they feel like they deserved more breaks or something like that. I don't know. I find that the bigger the band that I've had a chance to meet or interview, the more chilled and laid back they are, the easier they are to talk to.
A little bit more professional.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done it so many times. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what question are you going to ask that they've never been asked before, right? Like, it's like they know it's part and parcel of the business, right? So I think they're more down to earth. I think they're more relaxed. They've heard it all. They know what to expect, and because of that, they're more laid back. They're not trying to sell something that they're not, because they're already established. So it's like, this is who I am, like take it or leave it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes a younger band who's trying to push themselves forward, they're trying to not make any mistakes. So they want to seem professional. They want to seem this, they want to seem that. And sometimes when you try to do those things, you kind of go a little bit outside of who you really are.
Right.
And then it comes across perhaps as being a little bit arrogant, even though that's not necessarily what they mean or who they are.
They just don't want to make mistakes.
Yeah, sometimes it comes across a little bit like that.
Yeah, I've been debating when shows start happening if I'm going to do like in person. Because like I've been doing podcasts, but like I haven't done any in person. I know it's like a whole different experience.
For us, actually, it started the other way around, right? Like for us, we started doing interviews in person. The first ever interview that I did for the channel was Jake E., former Amaranth, now with Syra. That was the first ever interview that I did. It was in person. So we started, he would help me behind the camera doing the recording, and I'm the one doing the interview. So the two of us started doing the interviews for the channel, all of them in person. And it didn't really morph into this online version of it until, it morphed before, but it became more predominant now because of obviously COVID. There's no concerts, there's no nothing. Right. So we were kind of forced into doing more online interviews. And now it's opened the door like even more for us, because now that, we're either using Zoom or Skype to do the interviews, we're doing a lot more because nobody's touring, nobody's going anywhere. So
there's no excuse.
Yeah, so there's a lot more opportunities to chat. But if you look at our channel, I would say the first 2 years was all live interviews, and that's how we started. I think
you did one online, and that was with Byzantine.
Yeah, OJ from Byzantine. Actually, that was my first ever interview. Even before I did the live one, that was my first one. But the dynamic of doing live interviews and doing like virtual stuff online is completely different. It's a completely different ball game altogether. I prefer the live stuff because you can feed off of the energy, and it's nice to meet the person in person. You know what I mean? Because if the interview goes well, you start to build a relationship with that person that will help you like down the road with future interviews and so forth. And I just like to talk to the people in person because I find them online are perhaps a little bit more scripted. Because, let's say I'm interviewing you, I'm sitting here with you, I have the list of questions that I want to ask. And I tend to follow those questions very rigidly. You know what I mean? But when you're interviewing in person, at least for me, and he knows this.
I know this too. You kind of go off the.
Yeah, I have a list of questions, right? But I don't want to seem like the douchebag that sits there with the questions.
Oh, yeah, with the paper.
Yeah, man, like I've seen that a million times online, and I hate the way it comes across because it comes across like you didn't prepare. First of all, it comes across like you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. It comes across like you don't know the band, you've never heard of them before. It just seems like really strange that you're reading off a paper. So I normally take the paper with me. I tend to memorize the main questions that I want to ask, but then I go completely whatever. Yeah, so I ask you the first question, and then depending on how you answer that one, that's going to depend how the rest of the that's going to set off like everything else. So for some bands that works well. For some bands, it's much better to have a script.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. I I've done a few of those. Like I just had one question and went for it. It was good, but there was some points I'm like, shit. But it happens. So you guys are on Vox and Hops, right?
yeah.
So tell me what your favorite part about like this group was. Like for me, it was just like, I don't know. It was like a weird family that like would get together, and it was just cool out of the
Yeah.
box.
For us, the invitation came from Chris from Jayhoff, right? So he, fellow Torontonian here from Toronto, where we are. So he buzzed me that day, like maybe like what 3 hours before. And he's
Mhm.
like, dude, there's this podcast thing happening, Vox and Hops. I mean, I knew what Vox and Hops was,
Right.
and he's like, it's happening tonight. I'm co-hosting. I would love if you guys could join us. Blah blah blah. I was like, dude, anytime you ask me for whatever it is, I'm never gonna say no to Chris.
Chris is awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's a
Funniest
super
guy
chill
ever.
dude. So I was like, no, like you ask us, like, yeah, like great. I mean, like, buzz me the link, we'll be there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was super cool. It actually, I really enjoyed the idea of the hangout. It was really cool. It actually gave me an idea to do the same thing on our channel. So we're actually part of that new furniture that we're actually purchasing for this basement, because these seats are not comfortable at all. Is that we're thinking of doing some of that, like, Zoom hangout thing,
Right.
with our subscribers on our channel. I think one thing is for us to do a stream where people can see us, they can ask us questions, but we can only see the avatar of the people, right? I think it's the next thing is to just do it as a hangout. That way, that way, not only the viewers can see us, but we can see them. You know what I mean? Like, I think it takes it to a whole new level of interaction between you and the people who watch your videos. So, so if there's anything I take from that night with Vox and Hops, is that it gave me the idea of incorporating that same sort of vibe and spirit into what we do. Not as consistently as they do it with Vox and Hops.
They're actually they're cutting down to once a month.
Whoa, it used to be every week.
Yeah, well, he just said life's a little busy, so they're gonna slim it down. But
oh wow,
I was like, shit.
Perhaps makes it a little bit more special, Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more special. I'm not necessarily against that idea. I'm thinking
there were a lot of lulls though.
There were a lot of lulls. It's a lot of fun. Like it really motivated me to do something similar, because I think right now a lot of YouTubers are doing the stream, and it's great. Like, people get to see you, ask you questions and whatever. And that's all fun. But I think the next step is to bring the viewers in. So to do a Zoom hangout is the ultimate. Like you become part of the show. You're not just, watching the show. You're in the show. You know what I mean? So that's the major thing that I took. But it's really nice to see that kind of community. And I think more people should look at that, because at the end of the day, what we do is fun. And I think we would be doing it regardless if we had one viewer or thousands of viewers. Doesn't really matter. I mean, we're listening to music on a regular basis anyways. We're just recording ourselves listening to the music, right? So I think that part of this ecosystem is important for us to understand that this is a two-way street. It's a two-way street, and at the same time it's a vicious cycle, because everybody needs everybody. So I think incorporating the viewers into the process, I think, will be the next step. And with Zoom Hangout, you can totally do it.
I'll be there. Hell yeah!
Great. We'd love to have you there.
It'd be awesome. Yeah, man. It was just unique because, like,
was that your first time?
No, I mean, I went like 5 times, but every time was cool. The first 2 times I went, I didn't know. I was like, why am I not getting called? Like, I don't understand. But I never clicked the raise hand thing. So, I'm like, am I just like the guy drinking in the corner or what? But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I texted Matt. I'm like, hey man, I just realized. He's like, wow, all right. So you guys review a lot of music, and my question to you is like, what is the best EP of 2020? Like, what is something that you've listened to and you're like,
best EP. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't do the album reviews.
He doesn't do the album reviews.
That's
But okay, so let's break this down.
How about single? Give me a single.
Oh, a single.
A single? Okay, you go with a single. I'll go with an album. An EP is tough. But an album, I can give you a couple that are definitely on my list. But a single. What was the song that most impressed you this year?
What was the song we just did a song from Draconian, and I said it was my favorite out of all of them.
Ooh, the new one, the new release.
Yeah, the new release.
Something about Saboth.
Saboth, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that.
Right off the bat, it's always the hardest.
I thought you were gonna say Hypa Hypa.
Hypa Hypa was a fun one, yeah. That's like second on my list, but
he's a big Eskimo Cowboy fan. So, for me, albums. I mean, we're still early on. Not too early. We're halfway through the year, or almost more than halfway through the year. It's going to be hard for me to do. Every year that we've had the channel, I've done a top list of my albums of the year. Every year, I've added 10 albums to the list because it's getting harder. I'm listening to more.
Right.
Harder and harder to pick like a list.
And I also noticed, like, at the start of the year, you have a couple that you're adding to your list, and by the end of the year, half of them are just gone.
No, right now on my phone, I have a list on my phone right now that has about 40 albums in consideration for my album of the year.
There you go.
And it's going to be really hard. If you let me give you a couple. If you ask me for the best debut album of 2020 so far, I have to go with Convent.
Yeah.
Puritan Masochism.
Definitely.
That album is definitely the best debut album of 2020.
That's like one of the few, when you're doing your album reviews, you listen to it like a couple times in the car, like the full album, like 4 or 6 times in the car. And that's one of them that while you were listening to it, I joined you because I loved it.
And the thing about that album was it was released really early in the year. I think January is when that album came out. So we're now in almost October, and to me, it still holds up as the best debut album of 2020.
Hell yeah. I actually have not heard that, so I'll have to listen to it.
Oh, dude. It depends if you like into doom or not.
Do me a favor. Link me that, and I'll do a reaction video.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Puritan Masochism.
I'll send you a link to the video for Puritan Masochism. I've actually got to interview the girls in the band.
Okay.
And it's an all-girl band. From Denmark, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, either Denmark or Norway.
Yeah, Denmark, because I remember telling them they were the best thing to come out of Denmark since the Laudrup brothers. So yeah, from Denmark. So best debut album of 2020 for me is Convent. Then
you really like the Paradise Lost one, I remember.
Wow, Paradise Lost Obsidian is definitely my top 5 albums of the year. Right now, my top 5 albums of the year is Fintroll, the new one. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
Vitriol?
No, Fintroll.
Okay.
Fintroll. They just released it this past Friday. Yesterday they released it. I can't even pronounce the name of the album. So Fintroll, Thalassic by Insiferum is definitely in my top 5 albums of the year. Obsidian by Paradise Lost, definitely there. Quadra by Sepultura.
Yeah.
Definitely in my top 5 albums of the year. And then if I have to throw another one in that mix, man, it's tough. It's tough out of the top of my head. It's tough. Who do I put there? I mean, there's been so many great albums. Top 5. I don't know. Maybe Warbringer.
Warbringer?
The new album from Warbringer is absolutely killer. It's definitely one of the best thrash metal albums of the year. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
It may not end up being on my top because Dark Tranquility is still going to be releasing a new album, so I got to leave an open slot for Dark Tranquility.
And Draconians.
And Draconians also coming out, so I kind of got to leave some room for those because I'm expecting them to be really good. But Warbringer, as far as thrash metal is concerned, there's definitely probably it's up there as one of the best thrash albums of the year.
Right on. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to talk to Lich King, I talked to them and they're super freaking cool. Nice dudes. But so last thing, pinpoint I got here is what advice would you give to somebody like just starting out as a channel? And this was like a personal thing because like you guys grind and like I respect it, and you guys have obviously shaped it into something really cool and people respect you. So
yeah, I mean, maybe I should let me give a little bit of the background in terms of because that will help answer the question that you just asked in terms of an advice for somebody starting off. We put out at least one video every day, at least one minimum.
We've only skipped out once, and that was because we were both really sick.
Even then, we didn't skip out because we had.
I
think the only day we didn't post it was on the blackout.
On the blackout day, yeah.
Blackout Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday, whatever that day was. That's the only day we didn't post a video. Outside of that, we posted a video every day, even when we were sick, because we record videos 3 days a week, and we do 3 videos each day. So we record 9 videos a week, right? So we record enough that we have a little bit of a buffer in case we're not feeling well or we're sick and we can't record videos for a period of time. We still have material to put out. And that's just from the reaction review videos. That's not counting the interviews and the album reviews, because that falls more on me.
Right.
He does the videos.
The reactions, there's one every
There's one every day. Yeah, there's one every day. So that's kind of our schedule, and it helps us stay sane to have a schedule like that. I don't like to do a video every day, to be honest with you. Because I
just to set up everything.
Just to set up everything, it takes a lot of time. I'm working. He's at school. It's hard to find the time to. If we had a room that's already pre-set up where you can just show up, sit down, and do it, that's a different story. But when you have to, plug everything and do that kind of stuff, it gets hectic. So it's easier for us to set up everything and do 3 videos at once, and do that 3 days a week, right? So. But like I said, it gives us also something to look forward to. It doesn't become repetitive because you're not doing it every day. So like for example, today we didn't record anything. Tomorrow we're not going to record anything. Monday we're going to record. So now I'm already excited about Monday. Like, what videos are we going to check on Monday? Like, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what I'm going to check. We're going to check on Monday. So I start getting excited,
And not just that, putting the videos 3 days a week. It gets you excited for the next recording session to see what's new that we're going to do.
Yeah, because videos also come out in between, and then we got to add those into the licks.
Oh, yeah. Plus, you got people saying, hey, review this.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of stuff happening. So having that break in between recording days gives you that excitement to hey, tomorrow, there's a new video by Draconian or there's a new video by Sepultura or something. So we get excited about doing the videos. So that helps. I think when you start doing it every day, it becomes
repetitive.
Yeah, it almost becomes a job, and you kind of take a little bit of the fun out of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I like the way our schedule is, and it works for us. Now, as far as what your actual question, the advice that I would have for anybody starting a YouTube channel or anything like podcast, whatever. I think the most important thing I would say is don't do it for money.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it because you love the music. Do it because you're enjoying what you're doing. And don't try to do it because that's something you really want to do. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having goals and saying within 1 year I would like to reach this goal, or within 2 years I'd like to reach that goal. I don't see there's anything wrong with that. But
if that's your only priority.
But if that becomes your only driving force, either be financial reasons or to be famous or to be popular,
right?
If you don't get there as fast as you think you're going to get there, you're going to be disappointed. And the moment you become disappointed, you become disenfranchised, and then you don't want to do it anymore. And then you quit, right? So for us, when we started this, we started with the idea of us just hanging out with each other and just me sharing music with him and discovering music together.
We didn't care about anything like that.
We never really thought it was going to go anywhere. We thought it was just going to be us doing some videos, whatever, whatever, just hanging out.
Plus, I didn't have any expectations because all of our videos, our older videos are really bad.
Not that the new ones are any better.
I'm not talking about the content, because the content has stayed the same throughout the years of the channel.
There's more dick jokes now.
There's way more there's way more adult jokes that I get now.
Yeah, there's definitely more adult jokes that you get now.
But the quality of our videos have gone way better than
even the video quality itself has gone way better. But we spent a lot of money improving the gear as well. But through all of this, we never we didn't start the channel we want to be famous YouTubers, or we want to have X amount of subscribers, or we want to make this much money, or whatever the case might be. That never was the discussion. I mean, it's still not, because our channel is not monetized, so we don't make any money off of YouTube at all. So when you see us putting videos out, it's not like, if we don't put the videos out, we don't make money. I mean, we're not making money anyway. So it doesn't matter if I put one video, 10 videos.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same amount of money. Like, we don't make anything, so it doesn't really matter, right? So we really do it because we want to do it,
Right.
So I think for somebody starting, the best advice is do it for the right reasons. Do it because you love it, because that's also going to come across.
Yeah, and it's not wrong to set goals, like you said, because when we started the channel, I was having fun, and I'm like, it would be cool if we had 100 subscribers by, like, Christmas, and we started in July. And we had
100, he said.
And we had 100, like, in, like,
1 week.
1 week.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's amazing. And then we kept going and kept going.
Yeah.
You're like,
and for me, I look at it as things evolved. So we started the channel, we were just doing reactions and we're just doing reviews. And then somebody mentioned, you guys checking out the singles and stuff. Why don't you do an album review? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, do you guys really want to hear what I have to say about the record? And it's like, we're watching you talk about the single. We would like to hear what you have to say about the record. So that's when I started doing the album review. So it kind of evolved organically that way. So I started doing the reviews. The more I did the reviews, the better I got at it. At least I feel like I got better at it.
And they also add to the interviews.
Yeah, the interviews was the next logical step. It's like, okay, it would be kind of cool to do interviews, because I'm thinking, like, I didn't want the channel to just be a regular reaction channel.
right.
You know, I wanted to add more content.
I wanted to, I wanted
vlogs and
I wanted
like
the channel to become like a metal channel, like, like a real metal channel. Like, I don't
Right.
want,
I love the vlogs, man. That's like the coolest thing. Like,
yeah, the vlogs. See, that's the next. Like, everything has been like an addition to it. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we think something is going to feel cool, is going to sound cool, and it's going to be something that we're going to that could be part of what we are as a channel, then we'll add it to it. So
talking about skits and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like,
shoot.
Yeah, like I think the whole idea for us has always been, do what feels right for you, do what comes like natural. The vlogs,
funny.
The vlogs made sense because we go to so many shows. We travel to festivals. We went to Europe last year. We were going to go this year to Summer Breeze, but then COVID fucked us over.
Yeah.
So it was. I felt like, how cool would it be for us to record our experience of going to these festivals or traveling to Europe to go to a festival.
Right.
It's not only for the people to watch our experience, it's for us to have a memory of that experience at the same time. And the first vlog that we did was Heavy Montreal. We had such a great time doing it. We're like, okay, now like this is going to be a thing, so we start doing vlogs of concerts, vlogs of trips and things like that. And we really enjoy it. The same thing with the interviews. All of these things kind of happen organically. Like, it was right. It's not like we had a plan and we're like, okay, we're going to do this and whatever. It just kind of like grew naturally.
Right.
The opportunities came our way, and we were able to do these things and feel comfortable doing them. Mm-hmm. And the feedback from the people watching was positive. So one thing kind of grew the other. And to be honest with you, I always felt that like I said, I didn't want to just be a reaction channel. And that's one of the reasons, if you go on our channel, you're not going to see 10 videos by, Metallica or Avenged Sevenfold or Pantera or whatever. Like, we give a lot of time for up and coming bands to check out their music on our channel, to promote those bands, to use the platform that we have to help them reach a much larger platform. So for us, my idea was always to turn the channel into a metal community, a metal channel, not necessarily just your average reaction channel. So that was always my plan. And I always thought that also with him, as he's getting older and eventually going to college, I hope, he's not going to have as much time as he has now to do videos with me. So I still want to have the channel up and running, and I want to have things that I can do without him. That's why also I started doing the album reviews and the interviews, because that's content I can create without him. Because I don't think I could do a reaction video without him. I'm so used to having him.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of odd just to sit there by myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. Like, it's not the same. Like, it's like Public Enemy without Flavor Flav. I mean, it's like, I need my Flavor Flav.
It's like Starsky and Hutch, man.
Yeah. He's my hype man. I need to have, he's like my John Goblikon. You know what I mean? Like, I have to have Goblikon, So that's how it is. But I have to say to people, you have to do what's right for you, what feels organic for you. And just because you see somebody else doing it, don't think that, you know, that I'm going to do that, because just because somebody is good at something doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Find the niche that works for you, that it's organic for you, whatever that niche is.
Right.
And do it because you really love it. Do it because you would be doing it regardless of who's watching. And if that's the attitude that you have, you're going to be successful, because it's going to come across as being natural. It's going to come across as being you. And therefore people are going to gravitate to it.
It's not fake.
Yeah, it's not
Ain't
like
no
you're
fake
like
shit.
faces and whatever. Yeah, that's my advice. Don't
Hell
get
yeah.
stuck on the numbers, because if you know, like, you know, it's like Picasso, right? Like when he was painting, I'm sure like he didn't have like 1,000 people behind him telling him how good the painting was. He was painting it because that was his own artistic expression, right? Then if people like it, people like it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But you have to like it yourself first and foremost.
There it is. That was like perfect, man.
I mean, it's the way I see it. It's really the way I look at it, because with reaction channels, for as many as there are out there, for as many new ones that come along, there's so many of them that disappear. And I think a lot of the reasons why they disappear is because people burn out. People don't get the outcome that they were hoping for from it, either the popularity or the revenue that they were hoping to make.
Right. Yeah.
And then they quit. They go in a different direction. But the only thing that tells me is that they didn't have their heart in it to begin with. They were not doing it for the right reasons to begin with.
They were not doing it for themselves. They were doing it for what they wanted. They weren't really being genuine.
Yeah, it's like if you're a gamer and you have a channel on YouTube, right? You would be playing video games regardless if you're streaming it on Twitch or on YouTube or not. You were going to be playing video games regardless.
Just act like the same.
You're just now playing video games in front of a larger audience. So I see it from that perspective. You have to do something, because it would be like me now. Like yesterday, we were on YouTube and we saw a guy that takes video clips from news broadcasts. You know, like when the news broadcast says, a house